Michelle, welcome to Halloween Daily. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Well, this is awesome for me. We are here. We're going to be talking about Michael Myers and Halloween Ends. And of course, I'm always excited to talk about that subject. And you're a big part of that movie and its success. But before we get into Halloween, the movie, let's talk a little bit about Halloween, the holiday. We always like to ask a couple questions and
Oh,
and
fun.
and learn, what your relationship to the holiday is. And I know this past Halloween was a little bit different with the movie in theaters, but do you normally look forward to and celebrate Halloween? And do you have fond memories growing up of celebrating the holiday?
Oh, sure. I definitely grew up with that family that did trick or treating, like with my cousins, we'd have a big group that would go around the neighborhood and trick or treat. And so, yeah, it was always fun. I've always been someone who enjoys, dressing up. So any occasion, to make a day a little, extra that's not just falling into the ordinary routine, but, you know, I feel like dressing up just kind of sets a day apart and makes it a little more fun and a little more special. And so I've always embraced Halloween, dressing up, like I said, as a kid, trick or treating, always looked forward to that. Very, very typical in that way.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we love to hear that. And we always have to ask your favorite Halloween costume and your favorite Halloween candy.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to start with my favorite Halloween candy. So
Okay.
that would definitely be Snickers bars.
Yeah,
I just feel like it's the bar that's just packed with everything that you could possibly need. I mean,
I agree.
if you were to put me on a desert island and like ask for, one candy forever, it would definitely be Snickers. I feel like it's something I never get tired of.
Yeah. I got to agree with you
As
there.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like yeah, it has just a little bit of everything. It's got your sweet, your salty, your protein. I tell myself it's healthy. It's got protein in
That's
it.
right. Right, right. Yeah, we can tell ourselves that. Yeah, I mean,
It's
yeah,
basically an energy bar, you
it
know?
is. That's right. It works. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, I've had so many like fun Halloween costumes. But like switching places to dressing up as my friends that are a little more like punk rock has always
Hmm.
been fun. I love playing with wigs. Used to do like these crazy cheerleaders with like big fun punk like neon green wigs that were like had huge mohawks.
Oh,
And
nice.
I had this one wig that was like partially black and partially white with like almost like a mullet sort of situation.
Hmm.
That was a lot of fun. And then you put that on like with like a cheerleading costume, and that makes for a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so many good ones. I love dressing up.
Very cool. Very cool. So you said you love dressing up, and you've always been kind of into that performance aspect, I guess, of Halloween in a way. Is
Yeah.
is is acting something you've always wanted to do too, or when did you find yourself getting more interested in acting?
Sure. So, I mean, as a child, I was very much like, I don't know, maybe I spent too much time in front of the TV, but I was very drawn to like wanting to play in that environment. I wanted
Yeah.
to get into the screen. I wanted to be creating those characters. I've always been really drawn to comedy and to sitcoms and things like that. But I definitely was always attracted to it, but I was really shy as a kid.
Hmm.
And when I was in kindergarten, I won like some sort of scholarship to like Georgia State University to take a class, and I took this like acting class. And I remember there being, there was kids, but there's also a lot of adults, and I remember feeling like really intimidated and just really anxious about it. And so, even though it was something I was interested in, my parents never pushed me. They could tell I was like, super timid and shy about it. So I actually ended up becoming a gymnast and doing competitive gymnastics from 8 to 18. And I think through that, I really gained confidence in being in front of crowds and
Uh,
performing.
hmm.
That then, once I was finished with my gymnastics career, for the most part of being a competitive gymnast, that's when I got into theater in college.
Okay.
So yeah, I went to Loyola Marymount University, studied theater, and embraced myself in that. I was in a main stage play every year that I was there, from Skin of Our Teeth to South Pacific to The Seagull to Macbeth. And so I really just took as many acting classes and theater classes and really just gained a full perspective of not only the art of acting and the craft, but also just theater and what it takes to create those performances. So yeah, so that's kind of my story. And from there, I started, pursuing Hollywood and commercial auditions and getting an
Hmm.
agent and auditioning.
Wow. Well, I mean that is an interesting origin story, and I love that you gain that confidence, like you said, through the gymnastics arena and kind of your experiences there and built into that. And then I could see how that would kind of lead into stage work, because there, it is a performance in itself and in front of a live audience, and then you go to that live audience and then the natural
Exactly.
progression into film work.
Exactly.
So what let's talk about how you arrived in Haddonfield. What was the audition process like? When did you first learn about this project and come to be involved?
Oh, this is such a fun story. I love telling this story. So, for me, it was actually, and sorry, I'll explain, but
Sure.
basically for actors, there's multiple sites that actors are on where we have our headshots and resumes, and our agents and reps use them. But there's also a feature where actors can also submit themselves for some projects. Some projects only agents and managers can see, but some projects they open up to talent to self-submit. So I actually self-submitted myself
Nice.
um, for the role of Nurse Deb, and so they had a character breakdown, and I was like, oh, that sounds fun. She
Hmm.
sounds, she sounds like very driven, and I'm very driven, and just a very determined character. So I related to those qualities of her that they had described in the breakdown.
Hmm.
The funny thing was, they didn't actually say that the movie was Halloween Ends. They didn't even say that it was a horror movie or even in the, Halloween family. And
Hmm.
so it went under the name Cave Dwellers. And so I submitted myself to a project called Cave Dwellers, not having a clue what it was. But like I said, I related to what I thought Nurse Deb was,
Yeah.
and I self-submitted. I got invited to send in a self-tape. So then from there, they sent me audition sides, and I worked on those, and then put myself on tape, submitted my tape with my audition because they had invited me to. And from there, I received a call back. And that was a live Zoom callback with casting and with our director, David Gordon Green.
Oh, very cool.
And so from there, I did the same audition sides that I had sent in a self tape. And then after I did those, David had me improvise. And so this was the moment that, because originally I didn't quite understand what the genre was, I found
Hmm.
a lot of comedy in Nurse
Hmm.
Deb. And so, and I had no idea what Cave Dwellers was. I'm like, is this sci-fi? What is
Yeah.
this? Cave Dwellers. Interesting.
Yeah.
so so yeah, so at the callback, that's when David kind of gave me a situation, and we played around, and that's when he heard me scream for the first time,
Uh,
and yeah, and that's when I was like, what is this?
yeah.
Yeah, and from there, I guess I don't know, maybe it was a week later that I received the call that I had, they were offering me the role of Nurse Deb, and I gladly accepted. I still didn't even know that this was
Hmm.
Halloween Ends until yeah, until I received my sides for the movie. So yeah, it was
Wow.
such a cool and crazy story for me. Yeah, it really is. Just thinking about how it all played out is still just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, well, it is pretty mind blowing because, like you said, you've got representation, all, but you took this opportunity, you kind of did it yourself, and
Yeah,
didn't know what a big deal it would be. You didn't know
no,
what film it was. You were just
no,
responding to that early breakdown of the character.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an actor. I'm, I just
Yeah,
I want to work, and I was excited that it was, I was excited to be working on Cave Dwellers.
yeah,
But
sure.
then to find out that it's part of this legendary Hollywood franchise that's so beloved and respected,
Yeah.
crazy.
How familiar were you with the franchise and the character of Michael Myers and this, this crazy fandom that we're all a part of? Had you seen the original or any of the other movies prior to? I mean, what was your relationship to Michael Myers prior to working on Halloween Ends?
Well, obviously I'd heard of Halloween. I mean, who hasn't? I mean, it's huge. But I honestly had not seen the movies.
Hmm.
So when I came on, I immediately jumped in.
Yeah.
Because David Gordon Green, the director, had explained to me a couple of aspects of my character,
Hmm.
that were callbacks to the original and things
Yes.
like that. And so, of course, I wanted to check that out and see how it all played in. So
Yeah.
I dove in and started watching the films. And now I have, obviously a great respect for the genre and for the franchise. And now I think they're so fun. Whereas
Hmm.
before I was a little, I can be a bit of a scaredy cat. I'm someone that, as an only child growing up, I was kind of, scared of what lurked in the dark and in the corners.
Yeah.
And possibly that could be why I'm such a good screamer. I'm just always like on edge of like, oh gosh, there's something over there.
It
But
might be.
I scare easily. So,
Well,
um, but now that I kind of, understand how things work, I
yeah.
find so much fun in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, maybe that is something you can more easily tap into, some of that natural fear and to tap into it. Um, so what can you tell us about that early breakdown of Nurse Deb? I mean, we know what we've seen in the theatrical cut of the film, and I'm sure there was some other stuff filmed. I'm in the process of reading the novelization right now,
Oh,
and
great.
there's a
Yes.
little bit more. I'm not done with it, but there's some additional stuff on a lot of the characters, including Deb and Dr. Mathis in there. So that's really cool to see. And we did have the writer Paul Logan who
Paul. Yes. I
co-wrote the
love
film,
Paul.
and he was on
Yes.
set every day, he said. And
Yes.
so what can you tell us that maybe we didn't see or didn't know about Deb in the film that you got from those early character descriptions?
Oh, I mean, to be quite honest, I feel like a lot of what I see in Deb did make it to the screen.
Hmm.
The original breakdown was something along the lines of, she'll do whatever it takes to, get ahead or something of that nature. And
Hmm.
so, like I said, being someone who's very driven in myself and determined, and a hard worker, it was easy for me to kind of tap into the qualities of wanting something and I mean, this is where I don't say that I'm necessarily the same as her, but she will do whatever it takes. And I think to
Yeah.
to Deb's detriment, it means her relationships and friendships, obviously suffer because of it. And I think that she doesn't necessarily set out to hurt anybody. I
Hmm.
think it's just more of her consideration of herself comes above
Yeah.
um, other people's feelings. And so I think she would like to be a good friend, and I think she would, really desire that. And
Hmm.
but she kind of gets in her own way, is the way I look at
Yeah.
it. Like she almost just doesn't have um that self-realization of what she's doing, and that she's kind of sabotaging herself and her relationships by her extreme drive. And I'm excited. I haven't read um Paul Logan's novelization yet, but I'm super excited too. Because
Yeah.
yeah, at the after party, he told me that there were, you know, additional tidbits to Nurse Deb. So I'm excited to read that. And then a fun thing, I think it's okay that I mentioned this, but I recently did dinner with David Gordon Green, and he was telling me that you know, at the premiere, obviously it was a very busy night in the after party, and there was a lot going on, but he had actually invited his friend that he based the character of Nurse Deb on. And so I was like, I didn't even know that she was based on anybody, but you know, typically, you know, people create, you know, or pull from things, you know, in real life. And I guess that she was inspired by someone that he knew in high school. And and I was like, oh wow, I wish I could have met her. That would have been so fun.
Yeah, that's pretty wild that inspired by a real person.
Yeah.
So what do you remember your first day on set and what that was like?
Oh, of course. My first day on set, we had a 4:30 a.m. call time. And you know, we were filming down in Savannah, Georgia. And I think it was the 5th day of shooting for the whole movie in general. And so there was, you know, a lot of new energy, you know, even though obviously they've been shooting multiples of, you know, it's not a new movie, and obviously all the crew is the same, so people know each other. But for some of us actors like me and Rowan and Michael, you know, Dr. Mathis, you know, for us, we were still newer. And even Andy, I think it was her like first big day on set for this movie. I think she'd shot maybe just a little bit the day before or something. So there was just a lot of like fresh energy, and we were all kind of like, did you sleep? Did you sleep? Did you sleep? You know, with a 4:30 a.m. call time, sometimes it's tricky, you know, to, especially when you're excited about going to work the next day, you know, it's hard to get a good night's sleep, you know, beforehand. So I remember all of us kind of like, you know, just really sympathizing with each other over the like, did you sleep? No, did you? Like sitting in the hair and makeup trailer. So and then yeah, the first day, the first thing we shot was actually that scene in the bar where I'm in the red devil costume. So the Halloween party scene.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I just remember like, wow, you know, it's like 7 a.m. and here we are getting ready to shoot this bar scene. And you know, there's like 75 extras all like decked out in Halloween costumes everywhere. And you know, there's fog machines, and you know, you have the whole just fun, lively vibe. And they're, you know, we're playing the real music, you know, while you know, doing the scene on top of it. And you know, there was it was so fun.
That's cool. And that sounds like that was probably a fun first scene to jump into with everybody there, like you said.
Yeah, it was.
So and again, I think that devil costume is a callback too to a character in Halloween 5, and also a character in the 2018 film. A male character is wearing the devil. So a lot of history of the devil costume in this franchise as well.
Yeah, I just think that David Gordon Green is a genius, and I just absolutely adore him. And I think that everything that he added in, all those fun little Easter eggs, you know, for the fans, I just think it's great.
Now, Deb, she works with Andy's character Allison, and and of course Dr. Mathis, who is mentioned briefly in Halloween Kills. Actually, he's mentioned very briefly, and there's a little bit of him in that novelization as well. So he's we kind of get to meet him finally, and a little bit of groundwork laid in the books for him. But so what was it like working with Michael O'Leary, who played Dr. Mathis, and also with Andy, who played Allison?
Oh, it was so much fun. Yeah, I mean, since I did spend so much time with Michael O'Leary, who plays Dr. Mathis, you know, we really bonded, and we speak regularly, you know, like gosh, almost like once a week now. We just check in with each other and catch up. And,
Nice.
you know, because we really spent, you know, so much time together on set and
Yeah.
had so many fun scenes and so many fun moments. And
Yeah.
I just had so much fun playing back and forth with both he and Andy. Obviously, it's, you know, sometimes when you're acting, you can almost think of like tossing a ball back and forth. And,
Hmm.
and, but the funny thing is, because Nurse Deb is who she is,
Hmm.
sometimes she likes to hold on to that ball.
Yeah. Right.
and so and so you know, but I had so much fun with Andy, and kind of
Mhm.
you know, in a way sometimes it feels like Nurse Deb is just steamrolling her with, you know, going on and on and on, which is
Hmm.
just part of who Nurse Deb is. But yeah, just had such a great time working with both of them. Yeah.
Hmm. And of course, one of your co-stars, the great Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Did you get to have much interaction with her on set?
So we only have that one short scene in the
Hmm.
hospital together when she comes in with Corey Cunningham.
Yep.
And so it was very quick and brief, but obviously, like, um, I think I saw her in the hair and makeup trailer almost every day that
Hmm.
I was there. So we were either, you know, riding together in the shuttle to set, or in the hair and makeup trailer, or, you know, there was the day that we shot that scene in the hospital, we also had, you know, our little chairs set up close to each other. But to be honest, I mean, I'm someone that I can be a little shy, especially when I'm around, you know, such legendary people.
Sure.
So even though she is so welcoming and she
Yeah.
is so witty and so funny, and so generous, I still just was a little intimidated just because she is who she is, you
Yeah,
know?
I
I
bet.
mean, so just to sit across from her, I just felt a little like, oh, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But she was amazing. I mean, she would just come into the hair and makeup trailer with just this wonderful energy about her, you know. It was
Yeah.
just like just this confidence. It just really oozed out and made everybody and myself just, you know, feel like equipped and ready to play and ready to be in this environment, and gave us all a confidence.
Yeah.
um yeah.
Yeah. She sounds like she's like you said, just a ton of positive energy on set from what we've heard.
Definitely, definitely.
And she's just, you know, turned in amazing work in all three of these most recent films, especially. I think I love what they've done with the Laurie Strode character. Um, can you speak about that just a little bit? Because, you know, these three movies, now that you've watched them, and this one, you know, it's there's a lot going on, but a lot of it is rooted in Laurie's story and her
Hmm.
daughter and granddaughter. But it's
Hmm.
I feel like these movies elevated Laurie Strode more than any of the others, honestly. Can you talk about that a little bit? And just being a part of this trilogy that I call the Strode trilogy.
Oh yeah, that's a great way to put it. And really, I feel like that's what it should be, you know, if it's
Yeah.
you know, based and rooted in the original 1978 Halloween. That's really what it is. It
Hmm.
really is the saga of Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, and that um just relationship that they have of this hunter and prey
Hmm.
sort of thing that goes back and forth. And this like lifelong journey that she's on. You know, you can tell she's someone that's never let him go. You know, he's
Yeah.
always in the back of her head. And as it would be, I mean, goodness gracious,
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
to be a teenager and to have experienced what Laurie Strode went through, you can see how that would become, you know, your life mission. You
Hmm.
know, you have this evil lurking. So it's, you know, this battle. So yeah, I agree. I love the development of the character of Laurie Strode, and that relationship. I mean, I'm someone that appreciates character development and relationships
Hmm.
in movies. And so I think having that and making it, stronger and stronger through these last films, I do think makes it more interesting, and it
Yeah.
pulls the audience in, when you're invested in this relationship that's
Hmm.
been going on for over 4 decades, you know?
Yep. And it has, yeah, 44 years now and counting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your scene. Now, our friend James Jude Courtney, we love James. We love his work as Michael Myers, and I was lucky enough to talk to him here on the channel back in October, and he told us. I had to ask, everybody wants to know favorite kills, and he gave us his rundown of each movie, but he said his favorite of all three movies was the homage to the Bob kill in the original film, which is your Nurse Deb's big kill. Spoiler alert, but by now everybody has seen the movie. Um, but it's an homage, obviously, to a kill in the '78 film, which is his
Yes.
favorite from that film. He said, and so that's why being able to pay tribute to that with
Mhm.
you. So let's talk a little bit about filming that, because that whole sequence I think is kind of going to be a fan favorite over the years. It's Michael and Corey out together, something we've never seen before, kind of a
Mhm.
tag team thing, and your character
Mhm.
kind of guides us through it. We follow, and she's the first one to kind of see this Corey Cunningham, doing his thing, and then here comes the Shape and doing his thing. So talk to us about shooting that epic sequence with Michael and with Corey.
Wow. Yeah. Even just the way you phrased it right there, it hits me. It feels so, I'm so honored to play that part and be a part of that, because it does feel just epic.
Yeah.
Having Corey and Michael, like you said,
Hmm.
they're together. So we actually shot that over 2 different days,
Okay.
the full scene. And so, it was kind of shot in, bits and pieces
Yeah.
over 2 days. And I loved it. I loved every moment of it. They were my last 2 days filming, and I, I felt like I was, getting in the groove of it,
Hmm.
getting comfortable being, in this world and everything. And um, oh man, that mask is scary.
Yeah.
That mask is so scary. I mean, so the funny thing was, they actually had some of the wonderful, props and the mask and things like that, set up on this table in this room that they had as a holding room for us. And I remember I'd have to like remind myself every time I walked into that room that what I was going to walk into and see,
Oh
because
yeah.
because it was quite frightening. But man, I remember the first time, I saw, James with that Michael Myers mask on, and I was genuinely frightened. Like, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
And so to have him then, you know, opening that door in the
Hmm.
bathroom and coming at me, um, was literally terrifying. I was, yeah, I was frightened. But it was such a fun scene to be a part of,
Hmm.
because it's things like that. Even though I'm, scared and going through all these things as an actor, I loved every moment of it. It was just so fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the, there's choreography to all of it,
Yeah.
like me slamming, Corey's hand in the door. I remember I was so nervous because I didn't want to actually hurt Rowan in his hand,
Yeah.
but we had such fantastic stunt people and stunt coordinators that were guiding us, the
Hmm.
whole way. And so to have them, like assure me everything's set up right, so that I'm not actually going to hurt,
Yeah.
anybody, not going to hurt Rowan when I slam the door on his hand and things like that. And yeah, just, it was, we were shooting in the middle of the night,
Hmm.
um, at a real house in Savannah, Georgia. And so there's the elements of already this eeriness and this creepiness, because it really is like 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're on some, sound stage filming at like 1 p.m. or noon or something. So that added a whole, heightened element of all the fear factor. And but yeah, just that scene and the death scene was just so fun. I don't know how many times we did it, but I could have done it. I could have kept doing it. It was, I mean, like, sign me up. I'm ready to go do it again. It was so fun. We had, a bit of choreography to it, and, sort of like, this hand here, that sort of thing. And then just being able to take the, direction of what, they're seeing on the camera, just to add to it and make it look even better. It was, I don't know, an acting dream come true for me.
Wow, it sounds like it. And I was going to ask that. I always ask anybody in these movies, like, what was it like the first time you saw that mask? But you just laid it out there, and
oh, it's terrifying.
well, that's good to hear. I think.
Yeah, it was, and James is so sweet and so nice, but at the same time, I kind of had to like not allow myself to like go into that too much. I kind of needed to stay in the scary mask. He's huge and I'm petite, and so he towers over me, and he's so strong. I mean, so strong. I mean, that scene, the death scene, that was our strength, our pure strength. My feet were not off of anything. It was
wow.
Yeah, so he was using his arm, around my neck, and then I kind of used my hands to assist and do like a little like pull up.
Yeah.
And so I was doing like a little bit of a pull up, and like, and so yeah, that was all of our strength. I did that full scene, myself. And so it was nice having my gymnastics background, because I'm very embodied and very strong. And so it made it doable for us. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun.
Wow. And I guess I wonder if that was, part of their thinking in the beginning of, with your background in the gymnastics, that, oh, we can, kind of use this. Because I was going to ask, I guess, no stunt double needed in your case. You were there to handle it all.
Yeah. Yep.
And it is such a memorable shot. I was thinking about it, and because like you said, I mean, Michael looks so huge when Deb is, stuck up on the wall, and you look like tiny, and Michael just looks like a giant there. I'm like, wow, that is like, is that how they shot it, or was that really that big of a difference? But yeah, it looks pretty wild watching it. And again, I love the homage, the callbacks. Like you said, when Michael comes over your shoulder, that's kind of its own callback to Annie being on the phone and him lurking in '78. And then, of course, the kill itself, and then he does the head tilt, and it's all right there.
And the angles, that David Gordon Green got, so that they are similar to the previous callbacks angles with the film and the lighting. I think it's so cool.
And I'm looking for, I can't wait. I know somebody's probably done it or is working on it now, but when somebody will edit together like all of these callbacks from these most recent 3 films, kind of edited with their counterparts from the original '78, because I think that'd be so cool,
that'd be really cool
for us fans to see. And so there you go, YouTube. Somebody's going to put that together for us, I'm sure. But so you're there and you're filming this scene, and you said you could have done it all night. You could have done it a couple more days. That fear, but it was also that excitement and that just knowing that you're a part of this.
It felt so good. Like when I did it, like it felt good. I've had some previous experience dying on camera. And so I enjoy things that are kind of extremes. Like I enjoy like comedies, but then I also enjoy like really dramatic things, and you don't get too much more dramatic than dying on camera.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a blast for me as an actor.
And back on we were talking about those callbacks. I was thinking too, you know, even that first shot of the water coming out of the shower head, I feel like that's a callback to Psycho almost, because it's like for just a minute we get a little bit of that. Oh, wait a minute, that's kind of a callback to another iconic scene.
Yeah.
You know, with the same angle and everything, just like that. What scenes do you remember filming? Any scenes that you could tell us about that didn't make the theatrical cut?
All of my scenes made the theatrical cut. There was just some lines. There was some additional lines that didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
So possibly, I don't know. I haven't seen all the footage, and I know there's going to be some fun bloopers from what I've heard and that I'm aware of. I think there's some fun bloopers in the DVD releases that'll be coming out, and some extended footage. So I don't know. We'll have to see if some of my additional lines that didn't make it into the cut make it. But yeah, for the most, all my scenes were in the movie. Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. So you guys wrapped filming earlier this year, and now you're knowledgeable about the franchise, and you know that you're a part of this, and you're seeing the hype build as the trailers released, and I was amazed, when we've been talking about doing this interview, because in addition to it being a great scene, I mean, you're one of the faces of the marketing of this franchise. I mean, even now on the commercials for its digital release on demand, I'm seeing your scene constantly, and bits and pieces of it. Your scream is kind of synonymous with this film and how they marketed it, and of course you couldn't have known that at the time. But what was that like as the marketing did kick off, and there you are, and so prominently throughout?
Yeah, I am beyond flattered and really beside myself with all of it. I mean, like I said, I was grateful as an actor. I was grateful to be a part of a movie called Cave Dwellers.
Yeah.
So to have it become what this is, and the importance of this in Hollywood cinema, and then to have them use my face and my image all over so much of the marketing has been, I'm so grateful. I mean, it's really, it's hard to express what it feels like, and how cool it is. I mean, it's very cool for me. I was shocked. I mean, I was grateful just to make it in the trailer at all.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I remember the first night the first trailer came out, I remember expecting that the trailer was going to be coming out, and then they ended up releasing it, gosh, I don't know, like 12 hours earlier than it was suspected. And one of my acting buddies, I think he saw an email or something about it on, I don't know, Deadline or Variety, or one of the Hollywood magazines. And so he watched the trailer and sent me a screen grab and was like, "Is this you?" And I was like, "What?" And so then I, pull it up, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I made the trailer." Like, and I was a little surprised too, because I was like, "It's interesting that they're showing that scene in the trailer." Interesting. And then the build over the next 2 months of seeing more and more of the scene being released, and then with that final trailer, having so much of my death scene in that trailer, I'm incredibly flattered. I really, it blows my mind. I'm so grateful. I'm so flattered. It's a dream come true.
let's talk a little bit about attending the premiere. Was this your first like big Hollywood premiere that you attended?
Yes, yes, it was. I mean, where do you go from there? You're in a movie that premieres at the Chinese theater, the legendary
Yeah,
Chinese theater. You know,
it's iconic.
yes, and our carpet, it wasn't red, it was a black carpet, I believe. And it was so long, you know, it actually turned and had two parts. It was an amazing experience. Yeah, my first red carpet, but yet at the same time, I've been, you know, pursuing acting and going at this for a while. So I felt in a way very prepared for it.
Hmm.
It didn't feel that strange to me. It felt very like, okay, I was reasonably comfortable actually
Hmm. Hmm.
there. And but it was cool. I mean, like there was a moment where, gosh, I don't know how many photographers there were. There must have been over 20. And I remember there was a moment where they're just, you know, there's a couple of them going, Michelle, over here. And when they yell at you, they sound really aggressive, like they're mad at
Yeah.
you. Like they're like, Michelle, no, to the right. No, Michelle, look over here. I was like, whoa. but but it was funny. I at the same time I felt very like comfortable and prepared for it. But man, it was an amazing experience. Absolutely amazing experience. And then to get to see the film on that huge IMAX
Yeah.
screen. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you've seen a movie in there, but
No.
that theater, it holds like over 3,000 people. And it's got this, I mean, it's stadium seating to the max.
Hmm.
So it's very steep. And the screen is huge, absolutely huge. I have actually a fun little video on my Instagram. My Instagram is at It's Michele Dawson. And I have a fun little video of there because, you know, the director and the producer and
Hmm.
Jamie Lee Curtis, everybody kind of took a moment to say some words. And it was fantastic. But you can see how small they are at the
Oh,
bottom, standing on the ground compared to the massive screen.
yeah.
Um, and so at first, when we walked in there, I was like, wow, I don't remember what row I was in, maybe like row O or something like that, or Q. But I
Hmm.
remember thinking, I'm so high up. And then I was like, oh, it makes sense. Like they had all of us, you know, uh, James was just a row in front of me. And then Rowan was, I think, in that same row, but over an aisle. And Andy was right there too. And so we were
Cool.
all kind of like close.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are we sitting up so high? And then when the movie started, it was like, oh, it makes sense because up here we can see everything. The
Oh,
screen was
yeah,
just
yeah.
massive. So the experience of being able to be in a theater with such a large audience,
Hmm.
and like I said, there's like 3,000 people in there, and a lot of them were strangers. Like they had nothing to do with the movie. They weren't, I don't even think they were like friends of
Hmm.
friends, or, you know, it wasn't just people in production. There was a lot of people in there. And
Yeah.
so to be able to hear the audience's reactions to things,
Hmm.
and oh, yeah, I mean, I treasure those moments. They're, I have a little friend who says this, but she'll say, I put it in my heart pocket. And that's how I feel about that night. You know, like just the reactions I got from the audience, like
Yeah.
I'll treasure forever, lifetime memories.
Oh man, I love hearing that. Um, and like you said, to not just see it for the first time with an audience, but with that size of an audience, that had to have been overwhelming. What was your own reaction to finally seeing the finished film? Because obviously there was probably a lot that you didn't even know was going to
Oh
be
yeah.
happening in it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I did not have the full script ahead of
Hmm.
time, so there was so many components of the movie that I wasn't aware of and I hadn't seen.
Hmm.
We did some ADR. Gosh, what month was that? Maybe August.
Okay.
We had a Halloween Ends ADR day where we
Hmm.
all kind of did ADR across the country, and it was a blast. Like myself and Kyle Richards and
Hmm.
Rowan, and there was quite a few of us actually went to Sony in Los Angeles and did ADR there.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and so that was the day I got to see some scenes that I was not in, was just because I was watching, you know, the other actors do a little bit of ADR on their scenes. So I had gotten glimpses of things, and those were kind of the first times, other than when we were filming. Because when we were filming, I would watch a little bit of the playback. So I had an idea of what things looked like. And I just remember originally being like, wow, this looks really good. Like I remember like the first time we were on set watching, and I'm like, wow, this looks really, really good. And then going and doing ADR, you know, I got to see, like I said, a little bit more. But yes, it wasn't until I was in that theater with 3,000 people at the premiere that I actually saw the movie in its entirety for the first time. And man, it was fun. I just remember soon as and still to this day, every time I watch it, that very opening of the movie with the music, I just like tap my feet. Like, it's just fun. Like, I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a fun ride, you know, like I just feel like it just sets the movie up for such a fun experience. And so, but I mean, I was nervous, of course, you know, being an actor, like watching yourself, which I watch myself regularly, but you know, like something of this magnitude, you know, I was a little anxious every time. I was like, okay, I'm about to come on screen. Cause like I said, I'd done the ADR. So I had a little idea of the scenes that came before mine. And just like, okay, my scene's about to come on. All right. But it was so fun.
That's cool. And that is cool that they had all you guys doing it at the same time, and or a lot of you guys doing the ADR at the same time, and just kind of knocked it all out at once.
Yeah. So
kind of a mini reunion there.
Cool. Yeah, so there was people in New York filming, and you know, I think they even had a studio somewhere else in the South or somewhere. I'm not sure. But there was a couple of different locations, so that all of us were doing some ADR on the same day. I mean, obviously some actors had a little more ADR, so they had a couple of other days of ADR, like but yeah, it was really cool. It was like a fun little reunion, you know.
Awesome. And now the movie's been out for a while now. It's out digitally, and the Blu-ray's coming out in a few weeks as we're recording this. Can't wait to get my hands on a 4K copy. And check out all those bonus features.
It's gonna be good.
What has it been like for you since the release now? Obviously, you know, fans of this franchise, they're opinionated, they're passionate, to say the least. And I'm sure, you know, you've gotten a lot of reaction from fans. How has that been for you in the last almost 2 months as we're recording this, since the film was released?
Yeah, it's been really cool. So I haven't really like sought out too much, to be quite honest, on the internet, although I have had some friends, you know, kind of Google some things and like read some things here and there. And personally, no one has, I don't know if people just in my life are protective of me, but so far I've read very flattering comments, and people that you know, write to me on Instagram have all been very complimentary. I really appreciate the love that I've been receiving, and the fact that people are really enjoying you know, my version and my take of you know, creating this character and this franchise. And people seem to really like Nurse Deb for all the for all the narcissist that she is. I feel like in some ways, you know, people will comment and be like, she's so annoying, but it's like, but they enjoy watching that. And so I'm like, well, good. That's what I was going for. So, if you find me a little slutty and annoying, that's kind of what I was going for. So so I've really embraced all the reactions, and been super grateful for the love that I've been receiving on Instagram. Instagram's my main platform
Mm-hmm.
to talk with people. And yeah, I mean, as soon as the movie came out, like, yeah, I received a ton of messages, and I try to, write back to everybody, respond to everybody. I really enjoy engaging and, meeting people and hearing their appreciation and love of the movie and the
Mm-hmm.
franchise. And yeah, for me, like I said, I really haven't had a lot of negative people approach me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been nice.
Yeah, no. I think like I said, I think it's a fan favorite scene, the kill scene anyway, the whole sequence with you and Dr. Mathis and like you said about Nurse Deb, I mean, yeah, she's you know, I think audiences probably enjoy watching even the unlikable parts of her as much as they can relate to the likable parts of her. You know what I mean? Because we all know people that are like Nurse Deb, and some of us are probably, you know. So I think it's definitely there's that relatable factor that like you mentioned, and like we talked about earlier, this franchise has the first film came out 44 years ago. It'll be 45 years next year. So 4.5 decades of this
Hmm.
Michael Myers Halloween movie franchise. This was the
Hmm.
13th film. And while it's the end now, I'm sure that it'll be reimagined in some way, in some format at some point again. And I'm sure Michael Myers will be back somehow, some way down the line. But has it set in for you that you are now such a part of such a massive franchise, and that quite honestly there's probably going to be people like myself that are going to want to ask you some of these questions and hear stories about that for years if not decades to come.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super honored to be a part of this, to get to say that I'm a part of it. I feel like as an actor, it's like, I spent so many years, you go back like at Christmas or whatever and see family and extended family and people, or you meet strangers and people are always like, "Oh, you're an actor. What have you been in?" So now to be able to say that I'm in
Yeah.
Halloween Ends, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm super grateful. I love talking about it. I had such a wonderful experience. Um, and so I'm happy to talk to people about it. And I'm excited to, I'm excited about people's love for the franchise. And, it excites me. And so to be a part of it I mean, it really is like not everybody gets to be a part of something like this. I feel really honored.
Yeah, it is a unique franchise, and I always say it's horror's biggest franchise. It's kind of like the
Yeah.
Star Wars of the horror genre, I feel like anyway.
Yeah, it
For
is.
me it is. And I think a lot of our viewers and audience would agree as well. um, so what now that we're watching your career, and this is your first big production, um,
Mhm.
do you have some other upcoming projects you could talk about that we can look forward to looking for you in?
Yeah, I have a couple of things that are sort of floating at the
Okay.
moment. So stay tuned. And
Okay.
hopefully I'll be able to make some announcements when some things land, hopefully soon.
Yeah.
And yeah, recently I shot just a little role in a Lifetime movie, and that was fun. And yeah, just doing the actor thing,
Hmm.
auditioning right now. And like I said, I've got a couple of things, and hopefully I'll be able to make some announcements about them soon.
Oh, very cool. Well, I know a lot of your new fans are going to be excited to continue to follow your career as we will. We know it's just beginning, and you've got a lot of great things coming your way.
Thank you.
Well, this has been amazing. Like I said, I mean, I could talk about Michael Myers all day anyway, and but to get these new insights into this new film, I mean, it's been a pleasure for me, obviously, as a fan of all this, to get to talk to a lot of your co-stars and to, like I said, to Paul Brad Logan and just
Yeah.
different people over the years, even. And it's so great to get your insight into all this as well, because you were there in some very important scenes that I think are, like we've talked about, are going to resonate and continue to resonate as this film is rewatched years and years and years to come.
Yes, yes. Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate you having me, and you've been so wonderful to speak to today. I've really enjoyed this. So thank you, Matt.
Oh, well, it's been totally my pleasure. I can't thank you enough. And we always hate to say goodbye at the end of these. So since we're Halloween Daily anyway, we're just going to wish you a happy Halloween 2023.
I love it. Happy Halloween.